Put your computer up here so it's out of the frame.
Okay.
That works.
That's fine.
Maybe you need to hold it though, just to keep your focus there. I don't know. I guess that maybe.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What is up, Nerf Nation?
Maybe we should introduce ourselves for those who don't know. I'm Luke at Out of Darts.
I'm Zach of Naptown Nerf, and my wife Jill.
Hello.
Hope everybody's having a good time at home. It's been a few weeks here. We're up in Washington State, so we were one of the earlier ones to get a lockdown or stay-at-home order. But we're hanging in there, doing some modding and figuring things out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually still at work, but still modding as much as possible since I have an essential job, evidently. I might disagree with that, but nevertheless.
Oh, the lag. Someone's talking about lag. I'm just looking at the feed here real quick.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lag happening.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've noticed that with other streams too. So
yeah, I think
it might catch up, but it might not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll work out.
Yeah. All good.
People are asking for Hazel already. She might make an appearance, guys.
I mean, if we're gonna get Hazel in there, we might as well get my cats in there.
Yeah, probably have.
She
one
frequently she'll pound on that door. So
yeah. How can you get an XBZ these days?
Oh,
Spencer. I mean, that's even better than the XB. You can get one from Luke, right?
Not anymore.
Well, you can get the new and improved version.
But I don't have the internals. Actually, it's funny that someone mentions that. I've been wanting to do an injection mold run of getting the tanks made, like a really budget, affordable version.
Okay.
I love the stuff that
I was talking about the metal
XBZ.
ones. Yeah.
Those are amazing. And I've got those,
right.
But the price point's obviously a little tough. It would be amazing to have like a $8 or $10 just DIY tank that's threaded. Maybe someday.
I may have a stash of about 20 of them, but you know.
He hoards everything. Like whenever anything new comes out, he's like, I can just get like 3 of them, right? Like it's cool.
I have a problem. I'm working on it, but you know.
It's an affliction.
Yeah.
Spectre asked, how many FPS do your cats achieve, Jillian? I would say about 8.
Pretty good.
We have one that fetches darts, but she's kind of stopped doing that recently. So she's got a new toy that she's into now. So it just kind of depends on her mood, but
yep.
Not FPS, but that's still kind of, I guess, Nerf related.
Yeah, she's our Nerfy cat. Tungsten also says we have a big problem buying too much stuff. We all have a problem buying too much.
I had to ramp down. I bought way too much in the last couple of years for business.
Yeah.
I feel most of us that's the reason why we keep people like Luke in business, because we just go on there and just buy stuff.
Well, my family and I definitely appreciate it.
Aren't specs BZS for HPAS?
Oh, HPA. Yeah, so the specs BZ could be for your HPA. Certainly that's what a lot of people are using, but you can also just attach a pump or you could use an air compressor or a small air compressor. I know people have done that.
Yeah. I have one that I sitting around forever, like maybe the V1 version that I was thinking about doing some sort of air compressor thing in a mod, but so many mods, so little time.
That's always my feeling. I probably have like 30 projects, including things I'm like staring at here that are 2 or 3 years old and kind of make me a little sad that they're not done. I got to get going.
I know it's a problem. Time is limited, especially when you have a full-time job. So
Bray says, I could easily fit 20 blasters on the shelf behind me. Well, funny enough, that's actually a work in progress. That's going to be mostly blaster shelf. I can't tell if this is showing anything, but hopefully
it is.
That's going to be a bunch of blasters. It's just, it migrated from my kitchen. And I'm
going to pick the computer up and show all the blasters.
Oh, man.
if I can. Oh.
Ah!
See, my stuff's all at my warehouse
light.
now.
So that's kind of, but yeah. See if I can hopefully get back in.
Any Fortnite AR1 parts from Out of Darts?
Maybe eventually.
Mhm.
I'm like looking up the blaster because I can't keep track of them.
Is one person going to the workshop, or you do switch out every day?
So we've got, this whole thing's been a real strain, obviously, on everybody. But business-wise, so we're a team of 6 of us, including myself normally. And right now we have just 2 people going in 7 days a week, but they go in only 1 person a day. Mm-hmm. So there's literally only 1 person running the shop, and then we're doing as much working from home as possible. I'm here working from home for over 3 weeks now, and then one of my employees, Ashley, is mostly working from home, and then the other 3 are home. We are paying them. We're trying to keep that going as long as possible. But we just got the order another month of stay at home. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So what's the face shield deal like? Can you explain that process a little bit? Like what?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's find out. In theory, I also can't tell if you can still see me. So I'm hoping you can still see. And
adventure.
I can see you.
We'll see. Woo! Wait, except you're supposed to turn with me, camera. So.
Uh-oh. No, we lost you, Luke.
Come back, Luke.
I'm back. Right? I hope. Wow, this is really not tracking me. It's like it doesn't know this app. Anyway, I'm going to force the camera to do what I want. But we are printing them at home. So we've got. Dang it! I'm going back in. This is not working very well.
Yeah,
I had this. I grabbed the mask to actually talk about though. So most everything, we're running all 36 printers, 32 at home or 32 at work rather. What is going on? There we go. I'm back. It's this basic design. It's a face shield with a visor. Wondering if white will show up a little better. So they work kind of like this. And I'm working with the maker group up in Seattle. And they're producing, I think we have the demand for about 5,000 to start of the first batch. So this version's like a little more plastic, but ultimately up in the Seattle end, they've got makers that are doing the laser cutting. So they can laser cut the plastic that goes on here, and then they get snapped on here, cleaned, packaged up to be as sanitary as possible, and then sent off to hospital and healthcare facilities. So we're printed, I think we've done about 400 or 500 of them already.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And ideally, we should be able to do over 100 a day, maybe even 150. But it's really hard for one person to run that many printers and pack them up and get them out and still try to keep some sort of basic operation going. Because if we can't keep at least a little basic operation while doing this, then I literally can't afford to do these. So
right.
But it's been going really well and well received. And I think there are hundreds of people involved in the project. I just happen to be one of the bigger printers, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But we were super happy to just be able to do anything. And it was great because my employee, Eric, one of my amazing team members, he's a guy that does all of our printer repair now. He's totally taken over that department for me as far as fixing them and keeping them up, because you wouldn't believe what it takes to keep 36 printers running or 38 printers running.
Yeah.
So, but it was, he was the one that was like really kind of like chomping at the bit, like finding info. And then we eventually got kind of hooked up with an actual service, because the biggest problem was I'm not kidding. I got like 100 emails and messages and comments all saying, you should do this, because people know I have a farm, but then there's no verified need on the back end of that. Like I had to have a confirmed need where someone has signed off. And in this case, like hospitals have signed paperwork, removing liability and saying that they want them and will use them. So
okay, cool.
Cool.
That was kind of I knew people were making them, but I didn't know how people were asking for them. That was the part that.
And that's definitely. I did a video. If anybody's interested in helping, I did a video, and there's some links there. Or email me if you are serious about producing and want to work on that. They definitely. I think this demand will keep going for a little while, but I expect as major manufacturers catch up, like GM and Tesla and Hanes and Nike, when they're jumping in to produce things. Eventually, they're going to catch up with real products, but there was definitely a need, so we were happy to help.
Awesome.
Is this your living room?
No, this is it's a bedroom that I've converted into my video room and workshop and storage areas. It's the garage mainly stores most of the stuff. This stores most of my like work supplies and my like modded blasters, but like all the thrifted stuff is like in like 25 bins out in the garage.
Yeah.
And might need a storage unit soon, but I don't want to pay for one. So
yeah.
Thankfully, we all have wives that tolerate our messy workbench.
Yeah, there's definitely Nerf out in the living room too, to be honest. But
well, for you, it's a good thing because you're both doing it. That helps.
Right.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, I mostly play. I don't really do any of the like internal stuff, but I do painting and I like help him hydro dip stuff. But
she helped out. So we were trying to work on a blaster the other day, but we're having a
couple problems with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's one of Rad's blasters. He's actually, Jill named the blaster.
Mm-hmm. And so he sent me like all the internals to make it, and I got, filament, and we printed off all the files, and it's just kind of been sitting in a box because
she wanted to do it. So having time when she has time to do it and I have time to do it together, because she doesn't do like soldering and stuff. But
Luke, what has been your favorite thing to design?
That's a good question. Well, hey, how about I tease something that no one has ever actually seen, because it's been years in the making, and I'm not happy or done with it. This is just a version, but I am working on a rival primary blaster.
Cool.
And
that's cool.
This is actually not even, it's a couple generations off now, but it's a complement to the Proton Pack is the purpose of the blaster. And to be probably the highest performing rival flywheeler out there.
I got an angled magwell there. Or is that?
Yeah, it's an angled magwell. Actually, the current version of this is about another 25 millimeters longer. But yeah,
I was going to say
the magwell matches
the hand there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it matches, and because here there was actually it was a little tight.
Yeah.
You'd kind of
I guess it depends on how it feeds in. Yeah.
But the final version, there's enough room that my full size adult hands don't hit the mag as they go through. But so it's been, this is one version in process. This is what I'm calling Project Athena. Not a final name, but I love this process of making stuff, and I tend to, I'll print the version and then I'll literally write notes all over for myself to fix things. But this is literally like, this print is over 2 years old, and it's kind of sad that stuff happens like that. But the finishing work on some of these projects is just tremendous, the amount of time that goes in. And I have a lot of admiration for the people that just crank projects out. But we've also hit a scale where I can't make a blaster and release it that isn't fully tested and working
absolutely
as close to flawlessly, because I can't sell 1,000 blasters and then have to deal with the customer service that would come with that.
Well, so someone doesn't want to buy a blaster that isn't, that you have to deal with all that either. So
that's very, very true. But this is like a future project, so I'm having fun finishing that up. And then I've been another favorite design is still the Proton Pack. I just retooled the entire project, and we're really close to releasing. It will be out, I'm going to say, by End War, if End War happens. At this point, it's kind of
it's
questionable, unfortunately.
But you never know.
Yeah.
All right. From Matt Cook, what's the best way to add lighting to a LiPo circuit?
Ooh.
I don't know. Luke might have a better way than I do it. Honestly, I guess the best way, in my opinion, is to obviously not have it running off the LiPo, but if it's a small blaster like a Strife, like that's pretty much your only option. So
yeah, I'd say well, there are a couple of ways. Like, if you want to go really easy, that little worker strip LED, I sell it on the shop, and it's on worker and Light Take and all the other places. But like, that's a really cool little device, and it runs. It's got some patterning to it, so it actually does some motion, and then you can plug it directly into your circuit.
Yeah.
You also can run any 12 volt, standard 12 volt LED strips, whether they're RGB with a controller or just standard. And that stuff's available all over Amazon. So that's a pretty easy way to add lighting too. And then you can pick your colors and you can get like an RGB controller. Some of the knobs and things get a little finicky and they get large. But the cool thing about LEDs is that most of those strips are meant to be DC direct anyway. So as long as your battery can handle the additional load, which usually isn't that much, it should be good to just toss it in more or less.
Yeah, I know I've had some issues with, especially like bigger with more LEDs and like running off a 3S LiPo for some reason. Like I didn't really have this problem with Stardust behind me, but the resistor that I've used have burned up in the past because I wasn't using one that was rated for enough wattage. Because I'm running it in parallel and running it off of one resistor to limit, space. But I've had to go with like extra large resistors. So that's one thing I learned while doing it. Like make sure your resistor is rated for enough watts to handle the circuit.
Yeah. And to clarify too, he's talking about anytime you're using like a bare LED. What I was talking about previously is like the strips, you can they're plug and play.
Right.
Because they're a chip on board. So they're a little easier to put in, but then again, they also take up more space and they have kind of a weird form factor. Like a bare LED you can shove anywhere. So that's a cool way to do it.
Yeah. I did that with Devil's Wing a little bit. It's a different, but it's an LED strip. I think it was meant for cars, and I put it in the strip of the Centurion. And it already had like the resistor and stuff in there, and it runs off of the 3S LiPo. Oh, Jill's getting it down, I guess. This guy. Way so old, and I would love to redo this project. I think it, no, I have to plug it in. I think the LiPo stays in there now. It's not charged, but hopefully it'll turn on for a second. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
nope.
Oh, Tungsten EXE made a comment here. Use a buck converter to down the voltage. So that's a voltage drop circuit.
Yeah.
And then if you want to program, you could use an addressable LED with Arduino. That's probably not the easiest way to implement, which was the question, but definitely good points. My next blaster project will have lighting built in because it's so easy once you're already doing a board to have a controller for that.
Mm-hmm.
I want a good pump action primary that hits around 110. Any suggestions from Charlie Rose?
Pump action primary.
110. It's so hard. I feel like to get like a sealed breach down to like 110 or 100. Like I've had other people ask because they have like 100 FPS wars, and getting something that's accurate, you can use like a scar on, and getting it down to that level is somewhat difficult. I'm guessing, I don't know.
Talon Claw?
Talon Claw, but getting the spring load down, like finding a spring that's, I mean, you can do it probably with I think they have, like I can't do it with like the tooth and nail that Drac made because the way it's designed, it's really only made for K26. Although we have a friend of mine, we've done like a little plate to put in there, or he has, I haven't seen it yet. And then changing the spring load out to something different. So you might be able to get it down to that, especially with like a shorter barrel and low spring load. But yeah, it's a little tricky getting it down that low, I've found.
Yeah, and that's something like I really ought to do more testing because we have all these different springs. We can get anything custom made. I've been thinking even just for the Talon Caliburn alone, it'd be nice to have like a definitive collection of different FPS springs and then have a whole chart. I just need to do some numbers.
Yeah, I know I tried to get mine real low with my original Talon Claw, but sometimes like you have where it's so low, like the dart doesn't even want to fire sometimes. Like it's just like, because it has to exit the barrel consistently, obviously, to be effective.
Yeah.
Go
So.
Well, and
ahead.
I was gonna say one more thing. The other issue is like there's a sweet spot on an FPS on those blasters, and it's not around 100. Exactly. So if you shoot 100, you're probably going to have to expect to do 110 and 90. You're going to have a pretty big spread on either side in my experience so far anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your best advice for someone getting into 3D design?
Ooh, is that for me, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, because I need to know this answer too, because I've been wanting to do it, but time.
Honestly, and I get people asking, for files all the time, like for really simple things, like, can you design me this? And the biggest thing I can say is just go do it. There are amazing tutorials on YouTube. One of the great ones, if you're going to do Fusion 360, Paul McWhorter does this series called Learn Fusion 360 or Die Trying. And it's super succinct, super straightforward. And he's got test files that you can kind of go along and build with him. And I learned so much doing that. But if you want to start really basic, honestly, Tinkercad, which is also from Autodesk, is a great place to start for really basic shapes. I mean, I made the first Silphrina and the original Jupiter, the Here Mini, on that platform. But honestly, it's just you just have to do the work. You have to. I mean, the reason this project isn't done is because I am still learning. I can't get a few things the way I want them, and I'll get them as I spend more time. But it's I don't know how that saying goes, but it takes 10,000 hours to master something, and it's just as true with 3D printing and designing. You just have to start making things. The other thing is, I literally walk around everywhere in life, and all I see is shapes. I see shapes, and I see how could I make that in 3D. So. If you can start training yourself to look at things like that, like this coffee mug, for instance, this coffee mug is pretty simple. It's really just a circle that you would draw a sketch and extrude, and then you could make this shape and extrude that, soften the edges, and you pretty much made the whole, shell out the inside of the mug, and you've made the whole mug. As soon as you start walking around looking at things like that, and the better you get, the more you spend with it, you'll get a feel for how to recreate things. But just recreating other people's stuff is probably the fastest. Yeah. Like rather than just printing your GoPro mount, download one, look at the file, and then make your own. And do that with a bunch of things. Make a Picatinny rail, make a handle, anything just to practice and put in the work.
I know I have a great appreciation for designers that are able to create their designs that you can print without support. Because it comes out. So, but trying to figure out the kind of support you need, and especially when a lot of designers, they throw things on Thingiverse, they don't tell you what orientation to print things in, and so that's the truth. When you're able to create a design and you're able to do it without support and design it that way, and it comes out super clean, I think that's pretty awesome.
Definitely.
Naptown, what filament is your Talon Claw?
I have a couple. My most recent one, I used Atomic PETG carbon fiber, and then the blue is the Hi-Fi Protoposter blue. This one.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So it should be, stronger. Definitely should be able to handle a little higher temperature because of the this is heat treated, and then this is PETG. So but I do everything with really high infill, and then a lot of layer, like at least probably 2 millimeters or more layer thickness. And then there's this one. That one's
pretty too.
Yeah, this is Atomic filament also. So
Atomic has really nice filament. Like it prints really well.
I like it. It's pretty affordable for the quality you're getting, and they're located right here in Indiana. So I think that's
it's fantastic. We just have one of their colors, but I've been testing more, and really good stuff.
Yep.
Could you wait? Hold on. Simply Mama says, could you do a YouTube collab with PDK Films? He has some of my stuff for sure. So maybe I'll send him Proton Pack eventually once that's up and running. He'd probably do something silly with that.
Naptown, what's your best advice for someone running a Nerf group?
Like a Facebook group or like a club?
It doesn't say. I'm going to assume a club. It's from Boomstick Mods. If you could say something more about that Boomstick. I know I'm super far back up. I've been trying to keep up with the questions
for her here, because I would be terrible going through that chat. That's why I brought her along.
No, it's all good.
But I would say, like, there's so many difficult things about running a club. But
Sam,
the first major
club.
The first major thing is finding a location and making sure that you're allowed to play there. A park is great, but you obviously want to be away from people, and you want to think about like cover, because bringing cover is another thing. So if you have to build cover, so trees are very useful. That's what we found, a place that was very wooded, a park that was away from the wooded area, was away from where most of the people gather. And it's worked out really well. But there's always challenges. I mean, weather is a major one for us, especially being in Indiana. So we can't really play in the winter time, and finding an indoor location, which we've tried to do for this club and possibly some sort of 5v5 competitive thing, has been an extreme challenge. And then dealing with insurance stuff. So there's lots of challenges, but I would say the location is the most important thing to figure out first.
Advertising your clubs.
Yeah. Trying to, obviously, social media, free advertisement,
Keeping track of darts, making sure you pick up after yourself, like making sure people follow like the guidelines that you give them, making sure everyone has a good time. And we've started implementing like lower FPS wars and then higher FPS wars. So people that want to be a little bit more competitive, like can play with their higher FPS blasters. And then other people and we also have an age cap on our wars. We don't allow anyone under 12 to come. And if you're 16 or under, like you have to have the parent with you there. We don't have anyone sign waivers. Now we probably should have people sign waivers, but since we're outside, like we basically tell people like, hey, you're playing at your own risk. If you trip over a branch, like, sorry, like you'll be okay, but you can't sue us. You know what I mean? Like we're not
something
liable.
that honestly, is probably, if I would recommend, it's probably good to look into a waiver system. We haven't. I know the SCNC doesn't do a waiver. I should talk to Drac about that more but
like, have they had any problems with?
I don't know. What do you guys do?
I personally, so we have we don't have an official waiver, but there is an official rule set.
Right.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like every club should have a waiver. Personally, and maybe that's just me being dad mode, but there's just too much opportunity for somebody for something to happen. And then,
it is true.
Totally.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, we definitely do have a rule set, and we go over all the rules, and we always say like, hey, you're here playing at your own risk. Yeah. If you don't want to take those risks, then sorry, like, not to be like jerk face about it, but just like saying like, hey, you're here to play and things can happen.
So making sure you have a really good rule set, like go to look up other clubs and base your rules off of theirs. And obviously you can change things for certain things. I know Brett was talking about this in the last thing about, if you want to allow shields and whatnot, things like that. Like there's things that can be changed, obviously, but it's always good to kind of base your rules off of a club that's been successful. And then I think it's been super awesome to have a community dart bin. That I think is very, very helpful because some people can't bring darts. And if you have people bring darts, they might be bringing darts you don't want them to use. So having control over the community dart bin and whatnot, I think is very helpful.
We have a big dart stash, and we even have like rainy day darts that are like still pretty good, but they've kind of been a little beat up, but they'll still work just fine.
Yeah. I'm not even sure we would use those anymore, but that's kind of getting on a tangent.
Yeah, that's a whole other
those are like actual Nerf Elite darts, and we don't want Nerf Elite darts because they're just terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're fine for people to use, especially if you're just starting a club. I mean, they're fine. They're just not accurate.
Yeah. So. But we've taken at least 2 to 3 years to accumulate this dart bin. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. But darts are so cheap now, so it should be pretty easy. It's so much cheaper than when we first started the club. So
yeah.
Do you ever? This is a little bit of a tangent because of the darts, the elite darts. But you're on you're texting on a phone and somehow you end up at the beginning of the chat with the person, or just like years back.
Oh yeah. No, I don't really have that problem usually, but
I don't know. I think it's some shortcut on iOS where if you
you
tap, you end up like way high. I was doing this last week, and my text to Andrew was like, to my buddy Andrew, who we used to go all the games, and this is like a 6-year-old text. It's like, I got 2 75 packs. That's all they had at Target.
Nice.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Dark days.
I'm so glad that we have better darts. Like Adventure Force waffles have been a dream. So now you can just get them from the store. You don't have to get them from China and big bulk stuff, and you never know how the glue is going to be or whatnot.
Yep.
You know those are going to be solid, especially for like flywheel blasters or for non-sealed breech.
Totally.
And then as far as like games that are at like clubs, like again, having a really good solid rule set for games.
Yeah.
Explaining time limits, explaining if it's a 3:15, explaining if it's, going to be 10-second respawn or whatever. And just making sure like each game that you play, everyone knows exactly what the rules are. And being very clear about that. And making sure everyone does their part to help pick up darts. And, you know, do you want to allow barrel taps? Do you want to allow melee? Do you want to allow sock bombs? Like those are all things to take into consideration when starting things up. And then if you want to have an age limit, like, do you want to be playing with 10-year-olds and then 25-year-olds playing together? Or do you want to have different, you know, one weekend you have younger players and then another weekend you have older players? Like those are all things to like take into account.
Yeah.
Because I know that I don't want to shoot an 8-year-old in the arm, you know what I mean? Especially if I've got
or in the face,
because that happens, you know.
That's always I find with the little kids is their head is the biggest target. Yeah. And so that's where I end up hitting them.
Eye protection.
Definitely you have to
invest in eye pro for the club.
Yeah.
Because people will show up and not have any eye protection. You can get cheap eye protection. And again, that's just like another check mark to cover yourself.
Definitely make sure I would stress that everybody has to wear eye pro. I think that's absolutely essential.
Mandatory eye protection.
The last thing our hobby needs is a series of accidents to go on the news.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because we've already had, you know, people mistake blasters for things that they aren't. You know,
I mean, not really. Yeah, we haven't had that at our club. Our biggest, the one issue we've had at our club is somebody that lived near the park complained that we were littering because not every single dart was getting picked up after our wars, which is near impossible, obviously. So
I mean, we try our best.
We try our best, and so like it's really difficult to get everybody to, you know, dart sweep, but trying to do that and having somebody that has a nice voice that says that in the right way to get everybody to help out. You shot the darts, you need to help pick them up. This is why I have her and Ari in the past.
Yeah.
You know, they were better at that than I am. I'm just like, pick up the darts.
But yeah, you do have to say things in the right way. And some people they want to come and play and then they want to go, you know?
Yeah.
And I get it. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you're coming to play with us. Like you're using our darts. That's just like the cool thing to do, man. Be cool and help dart pick up, you know? So we've had that happen before, but then we've also come to the park and then there's been trash. There's been alcohol bottles. There's been, you know what I mean?
There's all kinds of litter, but that's a tangent.
Another tangent. Let's move on. How much time went into Jupiter? So if you could do like hours.
Oh gosh. Between all the iterations and learning, because I designed the first one in like 2 different pieces of software, and then Tarek redid the whole thing again in Fusion 360. So it's hundreds and hundreds of hours have gone into it. Certainly, probably several hundred on my end, and another couple hundred, and I'm sure in Tarek, if not more.
Yeah.
I get lost in modeling. Like I can sit and just model all day long if I am not distracted. And iterate and print and model and iterate and print. But yeah, I don't really track it. I'd be probably embarrassed to actually know the number, because like a talented CAD person can re-CAD anything or make something in the matter of like a week, like anything, a whole blaster.
Yeah.
Well, I know for like stuff that I do for like integrations and stuff, I never have any idea how many hours I spend on something. I'll sit for hours just looking at stuff. Like she can attest that. She's like, how long are you going to look at that? So like if you're counting that kind of time, like it's really, I mean, I don't
put a lot of thought into like how you want it to look and the lines and like the curves of it. Like you want it to be just right. And so that does take thought, just like your imagination, you know?
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Naptown, have you fixed your black hole yet?
Oh yeah.
It's a black hole.
Black hole.
That's the FDL that exploded.
I didn't know that was
because I said
nickname.
Black hole. It was our code word, so then I just called it black hole.
Yeah.
No, yes. Jesse and Jackie fixed that for me, and they were awesome. They took it, immediately after the event and fixed it up in like a month or so. So yeah, it's back and working just great. So
I think this could be a question for both. What is your favorite blaster you have made? Like, I guess
mine's the one I'm working on next usually, because that's always the most fun part about it for me is like creating it. And then once I'm done creating it, I enjoy playing with them, but it's always like, okay, what do I want to create next? So I don't know if that's or not. I guess maybe that's why I'm spending like two years on this integration I'm working on right now, because I'm enjoying the process so much. I don't know.
I'm kind of the same. It's like whatever I'm working on in the moment is a favorite. I mean, like some of the past blasters were fun, like the Hurricane and Jupiter, but then like right now, the Athena project is sort of the one I want to spend the most time on, and I don't know if I'll ever get it done.
Yeah, right.
From Spencer, I am working on a dual stage arm mounted rival blaster using your Jupiter cages that is attached to a proton pack. Do you have any advice or tips?
Well, I guess the first question would be make sure you actually test the dual stage thing. In my testing with my cages, with our Jupiter cage, I haven't seen much of an increase in FPS running 2 stages. So it's possible you might be doing more work than you necessarily need to have. For arm mounted, we're working on something too. It's nearly done. We had it at last End War and Ragnarok, the Project Olympus. We're basically just waiting on printers and parts and this whole virus thing to go away. But that'll be like can we get a sneak peek? Someone just said, I don't have, this is the problem. I'm at home and almost everything's at work. It's not exactly ideal. But I'll do a video. Whoever asked that, Destroyer 125. We're going to do a video really soon anyway.
Yeah.
But that's basically a modular Jupiter that can go on a wrist. It can go on a blaster. Captain Xavier's been testing one. He's got one on the side of his FDL connected to a proton pack, which is pretty sweet. So
I have a question for you, Luke. Have you thought about trying? I know there's the hop-up tab, obviously, on Rival, but trying to figure out a way to make it like have a scar barrel or something that can make it shoot straighter for longer.
Yeah,
this is what I think needs to happen with Rival, and I don't know if there's a way to do that.
It's a really good question, and I've had one of my engineering friends who does our boards. He had this idea about I think it was him. It's the Venturi effect, where you have airflow creating spin. A musket, like a musket that shoots a solid lead ball has rifling. So in theory it would work, but I think the ammo might be too lightweight to really work. Obviously the hop up works for changing course. I'd be really curious whether so James, my buddy, his idea was just to cant the flywheels enough to impart spin. But I don't know. It's something I'd like to really experiment with. There's a couple different ways. But the ammo is, I don't know how doable it is. I was
curious if anybody, I don't know if anybody's even tried it, to be honest.
I mean, even in paintball, there were barrels that had rifling and none of them worked. And that's a much more consistent projectile with more mass. So I'd be hard to, will you sell a wrist mount? Yes. Destroyer. So I'm just keep looking up there.
It's okay. I'm way back because I'm trying to go through all the questions.
No, I'm good. I'm glad you are, because otherwise we'd be missing them all.
And how do you guys think the future of the industry will go after this virus clears up?
Ooh, I guess I can start on that one.
That's loaded. Yeah.
Well, it's the toy industry. The toy industry has traditionally weathered all recessions. I think our hobby is a low-cost hobby. You compare it to paintball or airsoft or RC cars or drone racing. It is a really inexpensive hobby. You can buy a $20 toy, put $20 or $30 parts in it, and have it a really cool blaster, and then paint it for cheap. And I mean, there's just so much you can do for a really reasonable price. Obviously, you can spend a lot of money in this hobby too.
I know how to spend a lot. If you want to know how to spend a lot of money, you can just talk to me, because it's pretty easy to do.
But I think, as a parent too, I told myself we wouldn't have tons of toys around the house, and there's just stuff everywhere, because parents will buy stuff for their kids. So
keep entertained.
I'll buy stuff.
I think it would help right now, honestly. I think it'd be helpful to have people are probably buying more toys. I don't know if they're buying more toys right now, but to keep their kids entertained, because I know a lot of parents that are having trouble with that. So
yeah. I do think we'll probably see the toy industry get hit a little bit. I mean, obviously, they're going to have production issues. There's probably going to be a pretty weak Christmas holiday sales season. Probably. But I have no concerns about my business staying through this. I think right now is a really tough time. Obviously, we're facing lower sales and supply chain issues and all these other problems that are that are happening. Plus, only being able to we only have a single employee there, and we're, like I said before, we're sidetracked printing the masks. So there are going to be some big setbacks for like small businesses in our hobby, but we're going to be here. It's going to keep going, and I think if anything, that all this time at home, people are going to have some opportunity to spend it modding, because what a great hobby.
Yep. It's a perfect hobby for right now, honestly.
Yeah. Has any news company wrote anything about the community printing face shields that we know of?
Yeah, I think not the Nerf hobby community specifically, but there's definitely been articles, and I've seen some. I saw a video on CNBC that was about not printing but sewing face masks. So I'm sure it's been publicized.
Yeah. Spam says, "Hey, look, it's 3 of my favorite people. Miss y'all."
Oh, Spam!
Hope you're feeling well, Spam.
Yeah, he's over it.
Okay.
Do you guys know when the drawing is happening? I didn't know there was a drawing.
3 p.m. today, and there are 3 of my hoppers, Percy's hoppers, on that drawing.
Fantastic. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. That's been on there for a while. Darts, could you do a YouTube video collab with PDK Films?
We saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I sort of answered that earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send him something sometime. He's got stuff of mine for sure.
What do I put in my takedown, Luke?
In your takedown? Well, I'd say just K26 it, obviously. That's the salt. I mean, we sell a pre-cut one, or you can cut it yourself and even do it cheaper. But you just slap that in there, you get 140 FPS.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to. It's the best mod. Though I will say, closing that blaster up is considerably more annoying than, say, like a Chronos. So be ready for dealing with that.
I'm getting ready to crack mine open. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I got a nice pump grip from Out of Darts. Couple.
Oh, sweet.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard people like everybody's making one of those. It seems like so many different types of pump grips. So
it was definitely. It's necessary, or it's really helpful anyway.
When you upgrade the spring,
Would you recommend? What would you recommend for a first Strife build?
Ooh, kind of depends on budget, but I would probably do base level motors for your first build, just to give you somewhere to go after. If you make any mistakes, you're not burning out $15 of motors. You're only burning out $6 or $7 of motors.
Right.
Yeah. We have I just feel like I keep plugging the shop. I'm not trying to do that, guys. Sorry. But on my website, we do have
my shop does all the things, and you should know about it.
My build, there are build lists on my site. So if you just type in Strife kit, you'll literally get, like, I've got a high power build and an entry level build, and those are my current favorites for those 2 levels of build. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, it really depends on budget. I would say go big or go home, but that's because I can put
like that
all kinds of money into things. But I mean, I always, with my Strife builds, I always like to try to do something different. Now, not necessarily different than anybody else has done, but obviously would be nice if I can do something like that, but just something different than I've done in the past. But if you're doing your first one, I mean, whatever you want to do,
No, what's your budget?
Yeah.
Ask yourself what your budget is.
I would say definitely a nice cage, flywheels, and motors are probably the where you want to spend your money first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before doing anything else. That's the core.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a specific budget, literally email me and I'll write you back and tell you exactly what I would build for that price point. I answer that question probably 10 times a week.
Yeah. Because there's cages literally that you can get for very, very cheap or very, very expensive. So, but definitely upgrade the cage. I would highly recommend that to something.
Yeah.
Naptown, with your FDL3 being mostly dark colors, how do you go about making sure that everyone knows that it isn't a firearm?
Well, the FDL3, in my opinion, doesn't really look like a firearm. And it's actually, it's darker colors, but they're very sparkly, glittery filaments. So if you see it in person in sunlight, it doesn't look like that at all, in my opinion. But
yeah, I didn't think so either.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. iPro should be mandatory. See, this is how far I am off. It's okay. We're getting it done. Have you guys ever, or would you even consider doing a project together? And what would that look like? That's a great question.
You've given me nice stuff. We ought to do something together.
Yeah, we should. That'd be fun. I should I make Luke make something that's not rival.
That would be fine.
I want to see a new 3D printed blaster that's not rival from Luke. That's what I want to see.
I've been mulling that over, actually, just trying to decide what non-rival thing to do next.
Yeah, well, we'll see what this new what's the new line coming out. We'll see what that is. That'll maybe.
Oh, Hyper! Do we want to talk about Hyper? Do people want to hear speculation?
Yeah, let's do Hyper.
I really am out of the news thing, so that's why I don't do news on my channel because I can't keep up with.
I can't either, honestly. I rely on the news channels to feed me the most current stuff. Which
exactly, me too. I just watch Phone Blast on, I guess, Mondays now.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's no one in this chat that or in this watching right now that's not subscribed to Phone Blast, but you should be if you're not.
Phone Blast, yes.
Yeah, I think Hyper. It's either going to be if for anybody in the comments that doesn't know or watching that doesn't know, Hyper is going to be some sort of small caliber rival like ball blaster.
That's what we expect, obviously.
High capacity, probably cheaper ammo, probably will fire farther, maybe similar FPS would be my guess. Paintball did a .5 caliber ages ago and it never got that much traction, but I think the toy market is primed for Hyper to do really, really well, whether we like it or not. So my theory is Rival's been super popular. If it is the same FPS, it's probably going to shoot farther. And they're going to be really high capacity and really compact form factor. Like imagine a Nemesis that's a third the size and still full auto and probably feeds faster because the balls are smaller.
Like, 500 rounds instead of 50.
Yeah.
It honestly I don't know if it's going to be a replacement for Rival. I can't quite figure out what their tactic is there, but I think it's going to more or less replace Rival.
It'll be interesting to see what it's made out of. Is it still going to be foam because they've got styrofoam stuff, which it's not going to be styrofoam, I wouldn't think, but it could get something smaller to have enough weight to fly further.
Yeah. I was even thinking, it could be like a rubber coating, kind of like a dodgeball.
I'm hoping it's a reusable ammo type. I would assume.
It better be.
Yeah.
There are concerns, obviously, and Foam Blast has talked about this too, where it's like rival balls are already hard to find once they get dirty outside, and I'm picturing like a half-size rival is going to be even worse under grass.
It's going to be
might really suck.
Indoors might be I don't know. Indoors is better for rival already.
Yeah.
But at least you can find it outdoors if you want to use it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of picturing though with Hyper though that it has the potential to grow our hobby by a huge leap. I think that's the biggest thing we're going to see. Yeah. I think next year is going to be the year of hobby grade blasters. We're going to see, between Dart Zone and the C to S and other blasters, and I've heard wind of a few other things too that are going to be on actual store shelves.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see a lot more people come into the hobby, which is really cool. Because if you go to a store and you're like, "What the heck? There's a blaster that shoots twice as far." I think you're going to go online and look it up and hopefully find games and a place to play.
Yeah. Out of darts, what's your favorite YouTube group?
YouTube group? Like,
I don't know.
Facebook group?
YouTube group?
I'm assuming.
YouTube group.
I don't know what a YouTube group. I would assume it'd be Facebook group, I'm assuming, but
yeah.
I don't know. I bounce in Nerf modders welcome a lot. I also like there's a couple different 3D printed blaster Facebook pages. I have I'm probably the least social media person outside of Instagram that's out there because I answer about 2 hours of emails a day already.
Yeah.
6 to 7 days a week. So my customers obviously have to be first before any of my personal fun browsing. So I don't get in all of that as much as I used to. And I don't consume quite as much YouTube content as I used to, though with being home all the time, it's changing.
Important question. Haven't gotten a lot of answers yet. Favorite kind of pie?
Ooh, banana cream.
Pumpkin. Homemade pumpkin pie with fresh pumpkin. We have our own recipe. Well, it's my grandma's recipe. So.
It's good.
But, yeah.
That's pumpkins. That's like probably a second for me.
Do you guys think 3D printed blasters are the future of Nerf? I feel like they already are.
Absolutely.
I think they're the current.
Yeah, they're
me
the
too.
current.
Yeah, they're current.
What is happening now?
Yep. I mean, pretty much you go to a Nerf war or whatever we want to call it these days. Pretty much everybody's using 3D printed blasters that at least is into the hobby, that isn't just fresh into it,
So. And if they're not, they're using, tons of 3D printed, whether it's cages, add-ons, accessories.
Yeah. Yep.
The one thing I could see is that I think as the hobby grows, we're going to see a lot more people running businesses like myself and a lot more companies like Worker making cool hobby grade stuff that's injection molded.
Yeah.
Because if you can have an injection molded foregrip, I'd rather have the injection molded, like super high quality. Like Worker stuff is really good, the injection mold stuff, but 3D printing is just so versatile and so fast. It's awesome.
I'm assuming Dart Zone is kind of thinking about going that way, but they're kind of wondering if it's a good idea or not. And that's kind of with the Dart Zone Pro. And then with that spring being easily changeable, are they going to start selling add-on things? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking they might be toying.
I do sort of.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
All right. We just went up
and darling.
Yay.
This is Hazel. That's Zach and Jill. Can you say hi?
Hi, Hazel.
Hi, Hazel.
Can you show them your bear?
Oh, I love that bear.
They want to see your bear.
So cool.
Yeah. I like the pink headband.
That's awesome.
Daddy's talking to people online, huh? She'll come sit on my lap quite frequently. I'll leave the door cracked and then she knows she can come up and touch one key. I've trained her to touch just the right arrow key.
Fantastic.
Works pretty well.
We do have more questions. What's the max FPS you can get with flywheels?
I've seen 210 or something out of a 2 or 3 stage or a brushless.
Ultra Strife plus. I mean, you get how many stages you want, and at first we thought 130 was the max. Well, we were definitely wrong when High Crush came into. So,
and I mean, you could probably get a flywheel system to shoot darts 300 or 400 feet per second. I mean, of some sort. If I make flywheels yay big, and spin them the same speed as our current flywheels, I'll get the surface speed up. But it doesn't mean they're actually going to fire straight or work well.
Right. I love the mini flywheel setup. I think it's really cool that you can get so much FPS just out of something that's so small.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Where in a local store can I get a K26 or K25?
You can't.
I would like to cut my own.
Yeah.
You buy them online.
A store called outofdarts.com that you can get some, I think.
Yep.
What is my daughter's blaster of choice? It is the Elite Dart Rover.
Someone says, Naptown, I'm from Northwest Indiana. You better make your way up north when things get better.
You make your way down here, buddy. Come to a war.
Yeah, come on down.
Someone's trying to tag me with @Luke. That doesn't work.
Yeah. Will Out of Darts do commissions?
I do not. Mostly because there are not enough between running the business side, things like payroll, accounting, ordering, taxes, to creating products, designing, to ordering and sourcing and making YouTube videos and managing the employees of my team. There's just no time to do individual commissions. And even if I charged a fortune for them, it's like they always take more hours than you think they're going to. And
absolutely. Yeah.
My hat's off to anybody that does the commissions. I think if that's all I did, that could work pretty well, but I can't do all of it. I can't run the site and do commissions. I wish, but it would be.
Yep.
Thoughts on the name Dartsoft?
I'm not a huge fan of the name Dartsoft. Just to be honest, I don't mind the idea of us trying to rebrand and get away from using Nerf, because Nerf is just Hasbro and trademarked, obviously. But I think Dartsoft just puts us too close to Airsoft, and I don't have anything. Yeah.
Have 3D printed blasters made old style NIC mods obsolete?
No way. Some of them are so great, and I mean, if they're high FPS, they perform really well. I mean, people at our games play with everything. I'm always seeing PVC stuff out there, so I think for people that want to play with that stuff, they'll be able to. I mean, obviously, you're maybe not going to be able to compete against a really well-tuned Caliburn or something if you've got a snap bow, but you can do pretty well.
Yep.
We're all caught up with questions, so that's
cool.
Fantastic.
I like that.
So if anyone else has any more questions out there, feel free to bring them in, and we can now do it like in real time.
Someone's talking about me ratting out Chalo's secret. Well, it's not really a secret because it's my stuff. So
what's your
I'll do what I want.
What's your daughter's blaster of choice?
Oh yeah, it's the Daily Dart Rover. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Though a customer, and I'm blanking on who did. A customer did send me the Rebel Jolt. Whatever that one's called. So that's going to be her first actual blaster. It's on the wall waiting for her.
Job of the Rebel Jolt has a different name, so who knows what it's called.
I can't keep track of those.
For starting a Nerf club in Northern Indiana.
I think there is a Nerf club in Northern Indiana, so I think that's one thing. You don't want so many Nerf clubs in the same area, so check and see if there's another club. And then I would say,
you want a song?
Because I know we could use more help, like moderating.
Do you want to go back to Mama? She can play
and stuff. So maybe ask them about that. But the one that I know about is Michiana, right?
Yeah, Michiana. There's Michiana.
There's Michiana, and then there's another one.
Chicago's up there too.
Yeah, it depends on what part. There's definitely the Chicago one. But
how can you tune an FDL?
Can I go back to Mama?
I'm not an expert at tuning FDL. I mean, there's all the settings, and I would definitely look at Project FDL. I think he has some videos either on his Facebook page or on his YouTube about FDL 101. I think it's on his YouTube channel and tells you all the ins and outs on how to get what you want out of it. So
yeah, there's quite a few settings to tweak too.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I haven't even figured it all out. I just turn everything up to 100 and here we go.
Proton pack sale date or details on the kit?
I know people are killing me on this, and it's totally my fault because it's like a 3-year-old design. And there were a lot of problems. I wanted to source. I'm rambling, but I'm going to do it. I wanted to source impeller blowers and a motor, and the cost, it was going to be like $12,000+ to get both done in the base level quantity. It's just, it was a lot for a small product in a weird time. So we ended up changing. I'm doing a brushless blower because there's a lot easier to mount the blower. So we're really close. I basically have the design done. Total working prototype. The new version shoots 20 balls a second for forever. And I'm aiming to have it done as soon as this infection passes.
Yeah.
And reasoning on that is we have one person at the shop just running basic operations and printing face shields. We do not have any capacity to add a new product to the shop, or we can't even receive inventory right now. Like, we have a huge work order just showed up and we have no labor to get that counted without us all going in there. Because normally we would have 4 or 5 people counting the stuff and getting it in the inventory. So things are going a little slow and it's a little challenging, but as soon as this is all over, or at least has calmed, because I think probably by summer, we're going to look at this calming down, at least seasonally, if nothing else. And then we have a lot of new printers coming. I have another 39 Minis on order. We have 2 already, but we have 39 more coming, and those are all going to be for Proton Pack and Olympus. So we can Mount Olympus, so we can have that whole ecosystem finished. And so it's probably a couple months in reality, but it virtually could be ready in the next, by the end of the month. But again, it just comes down to capacity and labor and I need to be back in my warehouse.
Any suggestions on making clean paint jobs on older Nerf plastic?
That's for you.
Sand, yeah.
Sand.
Yeah.
We spend hours sanding stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
hours.
sanding, going through all the steps, getting, I would say, 120 at most, start there, maybe to get off like your logos and all that stuff if you want to do that. Like the hydro, what is it, the graphic tiger striping now on the elite blasters or whatever, that get that stuff off maybe like 120, and then work your way up probably to at least a 400 wet sand. So sanding is very important. Everything that you can, I mean, even things that I sand sometimes and I don't see anything, and then I paint and you can see stuff. So the paint will reveal everything. So take your time, sand.
Make sure you have a good vinyl dye. I
mean, it depends. That if you want to, that's what I prefer for a base coat. It's easy. It works really well. It's durable. So for a base coat, but
yep. Where can I find a washer drain hose attachment for the Proton Pack?
Okay, so our Proton Pack will have adapters on one side, and then we sell an adapter on the other side. Is that what you are looking for? We'll have a full ecosystem for that, essentially. Like, it'll work with the Chaos, it'll work with the Zeus, it'll work with my Jupiter, it'll work with my Future blasters, and it'll all be the same. We have a two-piece connector that clamps onto the hose and rotates, and it has no glue. So we got kind of a cool setup for that.
What's the highest FPS mod ever?
Nerm from Bay Area once, I know he hit 600 plus FPS on an air blaster. I don't know if that's the biggest.
I know Bobo did one with the hydro cannon that was 600 something.
Somewhere in that range is probably the limit of what you can even get the dart to go, I would think.
Well, there was that YouTube thing that, a clickbait thing that was like 1,000 FPS with something. I don't know, but it wasn't really a blaster. It was, if I remember,
it was a firearm, wasn't it?
I don't think. Well, that's not the one I'm thinking of. It was some sort of. I don't remember. It's been a while ago. Something. I think he got it. I don't know. Anyway,
I just realized that we have this window here and we're not doing anything with it.
I know, it's just sitting.
That was your job.
Yeah, right.
We could look at stuff and talk about it if we don't have any more questions.
Oh, we're getting questions in.
Good. We like questions.
Jupiter ever going to be open source or injection molded?
I guess that's kind of like two questions. Injection molded would be amazing. It's something I've definitely looked into. The costs are substantial. Molds for a project like that could be anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 plus production, plus the actual production run, freight, and everything else. So I could be in $100,000 potentially to get a full run done, maybe 50, 60, and it would need a full redesign and still require most of the components. So I don't know that we'll take Jupiter there. I would like to do injection molded blasters in my future. I see that as where I'd like Out of Darts to eventually go, is producing hobby grade blasters. That should be pretty obvious. But I don't. And then as far as doing it open source, there are a lot of problems with open source. While I love open source projects, they create, and anybody who's emailed asking for the files has got this sort of response from me. But I did like a free blaster, Sulfrina. It was just for a contest. And I probably spent 30, 40 hours on talking to people, like diagnosing their builds for a blaster that made me $0. And because they just keep emails come, how do I do this? This isn't working. And it's, without a purchase or some sort of background, at the end of the day, this is my favorite hobby, but it also is a business. So the open source business model just doesn't work that well for me currently. We might consider open sourcing it at the end of life or something. We're sort of not going to continue selling them, or if we replace it with an injection molded product someday. That's all speculation. None of that is happening right now. So
how many printers total for OODs?
We have 38 right now, and we have 39 more coming.
Yeah.
That
Where do
is
you
a
buy
really
the
weird
best rival ammo?
Right now, either the Hasbro if it's on sale on Amazon, or probably the Headshot.
I love the X-Shot stuff. I really am.
Oh, yeah.
But finding that has been a little difficult. What did I buy that on? It's over here in a box, but I can't remember the name of the. It was like something farm, Bryant something farm. I found it, and it was like 50% off, and I bought like 1,000 of them.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, we stopped. So the margins on that ammo are really slim, and it's one of the reasons we haven't restocked ours, because Headshot bottomed out the market, and then Hasbro even had like 300 packs going for super cheap, and we just didn't even make sense to have it. So we're looking at new factory and seeing if we can get the price down again to make it more competitive.
Yeah,
but there's something with manufacturing that ammo that is challenging, and they do a lot. The way that Hasbro gets their quality up is just binning. They're literally, there's overrun. They throw the heavy stuff and they throw the light stuff. And then the sweet spot stuff is what gets kept, the better ammo. And you'll see that if you weigh the ammo. We've spent a lot of time weighing ammo and charting that to see what that spectrum looks like.
Yeah. Someone asked again what the favorite mod and project was you've ever created, but we kind of answered that before, and it was whatever they're working on currently. Naptown, would you sell or trade any of your blasters?
I mean, everything's for sale for a certain price. Trade, I mean, I'm maybe in person, but I'm not trying to do any of that through shipping, unless I know you personally. Just, I don't like to spend money on shipping for trades, to be honest. Shipping is just so expensive now. So, but anything's available for a price,
Yeah.
I have this thing with, I don't sell prototypes anymore.
Yeah.
Because A, they've not been tested long enough to like hold up if it's like the first time I've ever made something. And then B, it sets you back. For me, it sets me back in the development process. Like I sold, I gave Drac the original Hurricane.
Right.
Which then I had to rebuild the whole thing to test and continue the project. So it like set me back several months.
Oh.
Which I actually traded him back for it later. So I still own it, which is kind of fun to have the original one.
Yeah.
And then like another YouTube channel, I sold them the Proton Pack. And then it was my only one. So I had to it took me like months to actually get around to reprinting, rebuilding, and like gaining that momentum again. So my new thing is like not prototypes.
Yeah.
Luke, how's your team holding up? I know you said you're an employee right now.
Yeah, I've got I have really, really awesome team at the shop, and anybody who shops with me knows how good they are about getting back to you on stuff and helping out. Eric and Ashley especially. I think we're all doing okay. I mean, everybody's still getting paid.
That's awesome.
With the exception of I should say with the exception of my I have 2 part-time high schoolers. But they're, at least I felt they're not they live with their parents, so I'm not as concerned about them, right. But we're taking care of the 3 full-timers anyway.
That's awesome. Best budget full-length darts and mags.
Budget?
I think for both.
Budget.
I mean, full-length
darts? I guess Adventure Force?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Busby used to do some good ones. I don't know if they still sell those. I mean, they're fine. I mean, budget. I mean, workers stuff isn't really budget, I wouldn't say, but
no, probably Adventure Force, huh?
I mean, I'm trying to think. Adventure Force mags. I don't even know.
Well, I'm thinking just Adventure Force darts and then maybe a different mag.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly,
who sells them separately? I know Busby's got that drum coming out, right? Or has it come out? I don't think it's come out yet. So, yeah, I mean, budget. I like reliability, so I'm willing to spend more money to get reliability. So I try to stay away from budget stuff because I know a lot of the cheaper magazines, they work okay, but
yeah.
I would say I have literally like probably 300 items that have been sent or samples to sell. A whole bunch of them, a couple dozen being cheaper mags than say like the worker stuff. and none of them are worth carrying. So that's why none of that is on my shop. There's nothing on my shop that's going to cause me a headache as far as customer service, because if it does, it's just too much work. It's not worth carrying. So like the mags, I basically either buy the Hasbro stuff or buy worker. That's pretty much it. Use stuff if you want to.
I know the worker mags have come down a lot since they like those 22 round mags. I like $25 each on them at the beginning, and now they're much, much cheaper. So
definitely.
So
can you add a vacuum function for your proton pack?
That's been a really common question, and I'll probably come up with a vacuum, but it's going to have to be like a 2-stage thing, because the actual proton pack container, part of the design is it's pressurized. So you literally can't make a vacuum that forces in. I mean, it would be possible, but would be ridiculous. So you'd have to have like a 2-stage thing. Like the top is the vacuum and you open up a door that drops them in or something. Or you turn off the main function and then it becomes a vacuum. It's probably doable, and it'd be a fun project for like an arena. Because I have a couple arenas I've been talking to that want like a permanent mounted, like high power proton pack that's like to a 10-gallon bucket or something.
Yeah.
So people can just fire like from a mounted position.
Yeah.
As like
that's awesome.
Like if you ever watched American Gladiator, like the tennis ball. Yeah, like that's what I want.
That would be so awesome. All right. What kind of capability will I get with my beta proton pack when all that comes out? Compatible.
Oh, you have the beta. You have the beta. Is that what he's saying?
Is that what
Must be that.
Yes.
Well, basically the beta, it's just a really rough version of the final. So if you've got the beta and it's working, keep using it. That one shoots, I think, 14.5, 15 rounds a second. The new one's 20. And the new one's a lot smaller. So it's got like a really small fan that's built in, and it's a little easier to put together too, that sort of thing.
Luke, on the other tab, can you pull up the LEDs you were talking about on your shop?
Oh gosh, that's like, let's go real quick. Well, so any LED strip light that's 12 volt will work. So like literally, like this is not a perfect example, but something like this. So all this is, I'm hoping everybody can see this. Let me get this picture large. I guess I could look at that's all showing. So all you have to do is make sure that so like this is a RGB strip that can be tuned and the color can get changed. This one's even Bluetooth, but most of these just are intended for DC. So I believe this is 12 volts. So this would run off a 3S or a 2S LiPo. It'll run brighter on a 3S. But if you can see in this photo, there's a power supply. All that is a AC to DC, so wall plug to DC 12 volt power supply. So you can cut any length of this and just wire it directly in, or from the controller and in. And then you can get simpler versions that aren't RGB. And I like using these just because they don't require wiring the diode in comparison to like a basic one. But then again, I'm just going to plug my site. Why not? But there's a worker lighting kit too, that if you really want just like a stupid simple thing, this is so easy. This like pulsates and kind of looks like water flowing as it goes. Like it kind of has like a Ripley effect. And you can find this, on all the upgrade sites. It's like a really fun, simple way to throw if you just want to toss something in really easy.
Yeah. Is that mainly meant for the swordfish, or can it go? Because I'm not.
You could throw it in anything.
So you can move the LEDs around and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can cut it short, but you'd have to bridge any gaps if you wanted to cut it in like multiple pieces.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's a chip on the board. It's on a flexible board. So there's current running through the whole thing. And then there are contact points every so often that you can clip. Right. It's the same stuff you would use. I had a bunch of experience doing it for like under cabinet lighting in my house.
Yeah. Naptown, what process do you go through for your thorough reviews, not just an unboxing?
Oh, I'd love to hear this.
What process do I go through? I literally turn the camera on and start talking. I actually did, for the last video I did write down notes, going over like pros and cons of the, Dart Zone Pro and the C to S. That's like one of the only videos I've actually put notes down because I wanted to make sure I touched on everything. Probably why the video ended up being almost 40 minutes. So, but I honestly do better without notes. I like holding the blaster because it reminds me of stuff. That's kind of like my notes. And then I can kind of go over everything. I'll miss things from time to time. Obviously, we're only human, but that's my process, I guess.
Yeah.
He is way better than I am, and I can't believe you do that off the cuff. I figured you were planning those out a lot more.
No. Yeah, I know. Like people like Coop, like he has a whole notes. Like some people work. It just depends on it. Whatever works best for you. I mean, that's just what works for me. So that's what I go with. And if I miss something, I remember it. Sometimes I'll go back and reshoot the whole thing and add it in, or just add in that part, just depending on editing and how it will work. But yeah, and then obviously I've used the blaster a lot. I start out kind of with a fresh feel for it, and then I go and actually fire the blaster off a bunch of times and as much as I possibly can, and then I come back with my opinions, and yeah.
Nice.
Going good, Evan. Evan B is on.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, dude.
Evan.
Do you ever think you'll carry upgrade parts for the C to S?
Yes, we'll have more, and I'm getting the actual C to S blasters too. I was less impressed with the Gen 1, but the S is definitely, they've improved a lot, and it's a much more solid blaster. So we'll have those. They're literally sitting in my garage because everything got delivered here instead of the warehouse for some reason. It's like the week of 40 worker boxes showed up to my house, and I have a Honda Civic.
Great. Perfect. Yeah. Everything will fit. It'll be fine.
I want the new Tesla truck for my next vehicle, but I don't know if I make enough money to purchase one.
I also want that very badly.
We've got about 10 minutes left. We've still got a few more questions. Tips for 3D printing flywheel cages and keeping flywheels balanced for a quieter operation.
What was the first part of
the question? The first part of that?
Tips for 3D printing flywheel cages.
Okay. Make sure you use support for like most of the 3D printing cages. At least I print them like on their backside, I guess, where the motors go in, and support underneath where all the motor housings are. And then like some sort of dart guide, so full support, like support it. That's how I do it, anyways. And then cleaning that out really well.
As far as print settings, we print with 3 walls, and the stuff for the site is generally 20% infill. But if I were printing for myself and time was not part of the factor because it takes more time, I would do 100% infill, and just so it's rock solid, completely solid inside. You'll get less noise and vibrations that way. That tip comes from actually Kyle.
And I would go with definitely PETG over, so. Yeah, just something that can withstand the heat of the motors if they get hot.
Yep.
Wait, he says I'm not subscribed to Naptown Nerf. That's not possible.
Oh, you better fix that.
Wait, did I unsubscribe today?
Thanks for coming in.
Dude, I must have unsubscribed this morning.
YouTube probably unsubscribed you. This is why I lose so many subscribers.
There's no way.
Oh, they don't need to be subscribed to that channel.
Well, now I'm subscribed again. What the heck? There's no way. I've been subscribed for years.
Make sure you're subscribed to Naptown Nerf while you're watching the stream.
That's why I pulled this up. I was like, if you haven't already subscribed, you better be.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Beret over here trying to cause a controversy.
Yeah.
You know what, Beret? Here we go. Where's that? There he is. No, that's not the channel. Guys, I'm really bad at YouTube. Unsubscribe.
You're a great stream.
How do you like that, Brad?
Thanks for checking in, Duxton.
No, I feel bad. I don't want to miss all that.
Busted. LMAO.
Oh, Luke, will you lube the C to S as they come almost dry? I didn't have any problems with mine. I think some people think there needs to be a lot more lubrication than you might need, but we'll definitely leave that up to customers.
Yeah, he's
versus
not gonna
opening
take them
every
out of the box to do that. I wouldn't think so. It'd have to be done at the factory.
Yeah, I mean, we're not likely to unbox everything, lube them, and then ship them out.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll change. I mean, mine had some lubricant in it. It definitely didn't have a lot, but some people are saying they got theirs completely dry. So I'm sure, hopefully they're aware of that and they're changing it. That's my hope. But it is jet. We, never really know. But hopefully, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say hopefully they're fixing that.
Evan B says, I don't Nerf anymore. I just say subscribe because y'all so pretty.
I'm still subscribed to Evan.
I know.
He puts his kids up there every now and then.
Yeah, it's nice. Mm-hmm. Master Blaster says, love the stream and the Jupiter.
Oh, thanks.
Drew C41 said, I call for a duel. Stripes at dawn.
If it's against Brett, sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
He'll probably be shooting bananas out of it or something.
Keeping stripes cleaning wired. What?
What? So what?
Keeping stripes cleaning wired.
Cleanly wired, probably.
Yeah.
If you my book has the only mod guide I've done on the strife, but like that's to me as clean as you can get it. There's a couple spots you clip and you can.
Yeah.
It's like beautiful wire path. The strife's nice because you got lots of room. Those wire channels from Foam Blast, I sell them too, of course. You can print them at home. That's also super nice to make it easier to fit your wires in the magwell.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use zip ties to keep things together. Sometimes I don't necessarily use them much on the strife, but just to keep things nice and neat, you can get some zip ties or some sort of. But strife has lots of channels. You can fit 16 gauge in there pretty easily.
Yeah. Plenty.
I don't know. Just practice, I guess.
Yeah. What are the darts?
Darts?
What's that? What?
We're at Mark. Like on the shirt?
Where are
the what? Well, Luke's always out of darts, so he probably doesn't know where they are.
Yeah.
What are the darts? I don't know what he means there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Facebook post? Maybe I need to get over here and refresh and.
Remember much time? We have 5 minutes.
Oh, there's like all these to go down the. This is a lot of things.
Uh-oh.
I think we're a little short. Will I mod my Dart Zone Pro? Yeah, I've been meaning to play around with it more. I have like literally 50 projects that are in the middle of being done. I'm sure Zach, you're the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I painted this like a year ago, and so I need to get on internals for that, and it has a kit that goes with it and whatnot. So there's that, and then I'm really working on that integration. Here, I'll grab it real quick. We'll see where we're at here. That guy, we've added a barrel, and I'm working on the top part there. So that's sneak peek, I guess. So that's coming along nicely. That's mainly what I'm working on right now. So
cool.
I don't see where these comments are. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have 12 gauge wire lying around. Should I use that on my strife? Boost Addict says that's fine. I mean, if you can fit it, it's fine.
It's a lot tougher to solder bigger wire, and I would highly recommend that it's silicon wire and not your normal like PVC.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough to bend around and stuff.
And like you are not going to be able to tell the difference between 12 and 16 gauge, regardless of the motor you put in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually could be argued that even 16 to 18 is probably not noticeable either, because the runs inside a stripe are so short. It's not a lot of resistance. Mm-hmm. But I like working with 16 for most things anyway.
Yeah.
McMaster, Derek Tran says, McMaster, these are starting to turn into product questions. They sell D10 pins. If I can find them, I will source them. Yeah. If you know the link, send me a link. Yeah, shoot.
The blue tooth and nail, when are we going to see that? When everything calms down?
I believe we just got more. I'm trying to remember if I think they're still sitting in my garage, because Drax shipped us another batch. Oh, okay. The blue one. So they're coming back.
Have you? I haven't seen the link.
The first batch went up.
Oh, they did?
And they were gone in like a day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because Drac makes cool stuff. I mean, for people that don't, I think a lot of people assume it's just like a factory making those, but it's literally him making them.
Well, well, it's his, more or less.
D10 pins. What else are here? Who says they're blaster motors?
Favorite Nerf grip?
Favorite Nerf grip?
2 minutes left.
Then favorite like grip, like the Dart Zone Pro has the best grip of any blaster I've ever held.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the person that was talking about modding earlier. I've definitely watched my video on modding it, but if you're going to plan on opening it, and anybody else, because it is not easy to get in there. But
my favorite actual Nerf grip is probably the Chaos, the Rival Chaos. But this one, the grip grips are really hard to make. If anybody's tried to design one, they're probably the worst part of the blaster to actually model. This one's approximately based off of the Dominator, because I think the Dominator actually has a fabulous for the main primary grip. I don't know if they meant foregrip or regular grip, but
I don't either.
Oh, they just said grip.
Yeah, I'm trying
because that's a pretty. The Dominator's got a nice. Worker has a good design aesthetic. Whoever's doing their CAD, I think they do a pretty nice job with stuff. And it fits adult hands, which is always appreciated.
Definitely.
Most jank mod you've ever done? Last question, maybe.
Sounds good.
Most jank mod. I try not to do jank mods. That's just not really my thing. I don't know. Trying to think. I haven't jank mod. I'm looking around to see what is the most janky. I'm sure if I said it was, most people would disagree. I don't know. I mean, there's some things I would consider not my best work now, but that's a process you go through and learning. Like a lot of my integrations at first, I wasn't using 2-part epoxy, MMA epoxy, and just using, like epoxy sculpt like this one. But this one has so much surface area, it didn't really matter, but it doesn't look clean because of that. And I could do a 20 times better job on this now. But I mean, this was probably, people said this was like the cleanest they saw back when I did this. So, it's a process.
And this one too.
Yeah, this one I could do a much better job now. But yeah, jank. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's all up. It's all in the eyes of the beholder if it's jank or not, or at least. But some people do that on purpose, and that's a cool aesthetic if you want to do that.
Brett.
Calling you out, Brett.
Everything's jank with Brett.
Yeah.
My first proton pack was a leaf blower strapped onto a backpack with a coil of hose. That was pretty jank. I do less jank now, though.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I guess we need to stop here pretty soon. We're at our 1:31. I don't know. When are we're supposed to stop at 1:30, right?
I think so. Yeah. So they have time to prep for the next one.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Peace out.
Stay safe and keep nerfing.
Yep.
Pew, 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 pew.